Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're watching this, you're probably my friend and I sent it to you, so thank you for watching. If you're not somebody I know in real life, thank you for clicking on my video. And you're my friend now too. Sorry, I don't make the rules. So you may recall, last week I said for the month of October I was going to do children's Halloween specials. And I said I was going to do PBS, and then Garfield is not from PBS Kids. So this week I do have my personal king of PBS, Arthur. In regards to the Garfield of it all, is that he set my YouTube algorithm in motion. So we will include him in it, also because it was like a recommendation from a friend. But here we are now with Arthur and the Haunted Treehouse, which came out in 2017. So definitely past my time. And it was like immediately obvious because everything moves so smoothly. And sometimes the way that they would hold their hands reminded me of BoJack Horseman, which was weird. Didn't want to be thinking about that in that moment. And then also the voice actors kept making me feel weird, especially DW's. Time is a cruel mistress and she waits for no one. Wait, I forgot to talk about Jennifer's costume. So we've got her in another Halloween costume. We've got Little Red Riding Hood. I did not dig out her basket. She does have a basket. But here she is in a Halloween costume. This one I did buy at the Creepy Doll store in Amish country. And I'm wearing the same shirt. I didn't take it off between videos. Not even to wash it or shower. So the establishing shot is of the neighborhood trick-or-treating, and immediately the music made me so nostalgic. Arthur, Buster, and Mystery Bunny are sharing scary stories in the treehouse. Genuinely, who is that? I don't know her. Mystery Girl is clearly a Black Widow spider, and Buster says he is Candy Boy, and Arthur is Frankentist. Frankenstein dentist, I guess. But he's not wearing his glasses at first, and I felt like that Keke Palmer meme.
I hate to say it, I hope I don't sound ridiculous. I don't know who this man is. I mean, he could be walking down the street, I wouldn't know a thing. Sorry to this man.
Arthur's being super jumpy because he says his treehouse is haunted by a female ghost. He says he doesn't want to talk about it and then immediately talks about it. Oh, hi. Come say hi. Come here. What's this? What's this? What's this? Oh, are you? Oh. So, Arthur wanted to have a Halloween sleepover and he had to convince his mom to let him do it. And DW wanted to be included. And he said no. He said no because she would be too scared. So DW wants to prove who between her and her brother is braver. And also the parents won't be there, so grandma's babysitting, which I do feel is a good enough reason to not have a sleepover if like your parents aren't home. Arthur goes to the attic to look for decorations and finds a creepy doll up there. On the back of it says Zelda, so that's the creepy doll's name. And of course he grabs it and brings it downstairs to use it as a decoration, and then suddenly it's gone. Also, somebody wrote on the wall of the treehouse, "This is my treehouse," in chalk, and it freaked Arthur out. And then suddenly Zelda was in the treehouse when he was setting up after disappearing when he had brought the decorations down. So he buried her in the yard. Like specifically says, I dug a hole and I buried her in the yard.
I dug a hole and buried her over by that rock.
Francine arrives and scares them with her appearance, and she's dressed as a prom queen, which just feels so wrong. I feel like it should at least be like torn up or tongue in cheek, but she fully is just like, yeah, I'm a prom queen. Hashtag not my Francine. And she's there a little bit early, and she got there before Muffy because she was trick-or-treating in her apartment building and there was a scary apartment. So naturally we get the flashback, and it's really sweet how involved all of the, like how much the adults in her apartment building all play along, that she was given a list of apartments that were participating and they're all like nice and cute. It's sweet. I like seeing people being nice to kids. I like when children have community around them. So this diva opens the door to the apartment and invites Francine in, and she walks right in, which immediately made me nervous. And then she says, I'm sure I have candy somewhere. You're not ready? The hell? Okay, I wrote this down, but I don't remember how to pronounce it. So she has this weird photo and says it's a golem. Gola? I initially wrote Gola, so it's probably golem. I just watched this. Let's say golem. And it says that it's a clay monster that comes to life with magic spells. And we get a flashback to her youth where she tells a story about a violinist who was in a trolley accident and broke all his fingers and could never play again. So he got really into magic, and then he created the golem, and nobody could control it, but she got a picture of it. And then she gives Francine a marzipan violin. That is like a wild candy to just have. Marzipan? Did she make it or did she buy it? I want to know more about this queen. But a picture of her when she was young fell into Francine's bag, so she turns around to return it, and a man answers the door and is shocked that she has that photo and says, "No woman lives here. That was my sister. She disappeared when we were young." Spooky. So now we're back in the present, and Francine calls Muffy on her cell phone. And I know that kids have cell phones, and they had cell phones in 2017, but it is still jarring sometimes to see characters that I watched as a kid have modern technology. Time is a cruel mistress, and she waits for no one. Jennifer's one of them, where like you can get a cell phone. She's not allowed to watch screens because Francine calls Muffy. Also, those two are definitely heading for like the homoerotic friendship that ends badly in high school. That they're gonna be super close, super close, super close, super close. Neither of them are straight. There's no way in hell. And then they get like one of those weird too close friendships, and then break up, and it's horrible. And they traumatize each other and think about it for like years to come. Obviously, I don't have firsthand experience with that. So Muffy is trick-or-treating with her butler, Bailey. Shout out, good name, King. And they're riding on like a tandem bike, but also her feet don't reach the pedals, so I don't know why they didn't just like put her in a cart behind the bike. I don't know. But they get a flat tire, and Bailey is like, well, you could walk to the next house, because there's like one house that she wants to go to left. So they cut through the cemetery, but Muffy's not scared because last year she and Francine, who was in a better costume last year, much more fitting, dared each other to run through the cemetery, and then they found out that it was fine and did it like 4 more times. So she's fine walking through it, but kind of misses being scared. Oh, also her phone died. Then it bursts, pouring rain, so they go for cover in the cemetery. And then we cut back to the treehouse, and everybody's debating going inside when Binky shows up. Binky is dressed as a wrestler, and he had gone to Mr. Ratburn's house to TP it because the gang that he's in made him do it. And he got there, and there was like a ton of decorations, and like a raven at the door kept saying nevermore. And then when the door opened, there was a puppet, and he walked in the room, and everything was like very clearly Edgar Allan Poe references, but he didn't pick up on that and got scared and left. And he left without his backpack. Everybody else immediately caught on to the Edgar Allan Poe references and told him as much, and said that they'd been studying it in class, which aren't they in 3rd grade? This might be a bit above their reading comprehension level. There's a creepy giggle and then a creepy voice saying, "The treehouse is mine." So everybody runs inside scared, and I'm now realizing that at the sleepover, girls are allowed, which must be newfangled, because I was definitely not allowed to have boys over at sleepovers in school. And then this is the first time we see Grandma and Baby Kate in their costumes, and they are so cute. Jennifer definitely loves Baby Kate's outfit. And then DW rage baits Arthur. And then I find out Mystery Bunny Girl's name is Madonna. Madonna. And then after some Googling, I found it's actually LaDonna with an L. I've never heard of LaDonna. And in the Googling also, apparently she wasn't on the show for very long because she moves to Elwood City and then she leaves. And then, part of how they like appeased DW is they said Bart could come over. And I was sitting there like, who the hell is Bart? And that's LaDonna Madonna's little brother. LaDonna is the last one to come inside from the rain and says that she saw the scary doll in the corner of the house. She wants to change out of her wet clothes, and DW takes her upstairs. Francine had already gone to the bathroom or something. Maybe she was cleaning off. I don't remember. But what matters is Francine overhears a conversation between LaDonna, Bart, and DW and learns that they're the ones behind all of this. It was all a prank. So she tells Buster and Arthur, and they come up with a plan to get DW back. And up till now, everything has been like relayed to people as they arrived, but now we start getting like split ABC plots to follow. So I'll finish out Arthur's and then we'll go to everybody else's. So we see DW and her crew planning the prank, and then we only see Arthur and his friends carrying it out. So we learn that they had walkie-talkies to do the spooky voices, and DW's friend is the one that was doing it, and then like is told to do moaning, and he asks what kind of moaning, which is so weird. And then he does a really weird moaning.
Wait for my signal and then start moaning. What kind of a moan should I do?
Arthur and his friends are watching an old scary movie, and DW keeps trying to get Arthur to go up to his room because that's where she put the doll, but he won't. So then he goes upstairs, acts like nothing happened, and then knows that DW is going to go check in with her friends to try to figure out what's going on. But there are footprints leading out of DW's room. And then LaDonna and Bart go home and hear the creepy voice coming from her bag, and it says like, I know what you did. And she turns around and like she knew it was the walkie-talkie, and they laugh it off and are like, all right, guess the prank is over. But she doesn't have the doll, and they're like, oh, this is Mom's, we're probably gonna have to give it back to her. And Arthur had hidden it in DW's room, and it scared her, and now the Halloween sleepover is over, so I guess they had to call everybody's parents to come pick them up. The rules of this sleepover are a little bit vague. Actually, a lot bit vague. Meanwhile, for Muffy, she and Bailey were chosen by the cat distribution system, and then they try to leave, and they like bring the cat with them, and the gate has been locked, so Bailey like helps lift her over it, and then he climbs over and like rips his jacket, loses his shoes. That's he'll go back for it the next day. They go to a house nearby so that they can like charge their phones and kind of try to dry off. So they go to this house, and there's clearly a party going on, and Arthur's parents are there, which is very random and low-key reminded me of Hocus Pocus, where you just like end up at a house and you're like, oh, this is the parent party, okay. And then turns out the cat lives there, and they're very nice. They get fed, they plug their borrow a phone charger. Muffy's glad she ended up at this house instead of the one that she was planning on because she's having a great time. And she meets the Diva Queen and the man who answered the door. And they tell her the prank that they pull every year, and she laughs and thinks it's fun. And now for Binkies. So Mr. Ratburn laments that he hasn't had any trick-or-treaters, and he thinks his decorations outside are too scary and starts taking some of them down. This man is so gay. He's so gay. And like, yeah, he's gay enough to have a husband, but like, gay people love Halloween. And this elaborate setup that he's only had one trick-or-treater. So So Binky goes in, and he knows a little bit more now for that first room that he was in. And then he ends up in the second room and like can't connect dots and gets roasted by Mr. Ratburn through the wall. Oh, and when Mr. Ratburn took down decorations, he also grabbed Binky's bag. After getting roasted, it does, like, the wall falls apart, and Mr. Ratburn and Binky talk, and he gives Binky his backpack and says, you know, if you're gonna prank me, please do something more environmental than TP. And Binky had fun with the haunted house he didn't understand and says maybe he'll actually read the assigned reading in class. And Mr. Ratburn's just kind of like, yeah, okay, that's great, bud. And he just gives him candy anyway because nobody else has come by for candy. Binky never comes back to the house. I think he just goes home. But Muffy does get to the house when everybody's inside and explains how Francine was pranked. And Francine is like, haha, yeah, imagine being scared of that, which very, very on brand for Francine. And then this is the point where everybody gets sent home. And then Arthur goes to bed, and DW comes into his room and climbs up into his bed and tells him that like she's still kind of scared. And she explains to Arthur how she pulled off this prank. And they have a very sweet moment where, because remember, he's the big brother, and he tells her, like, I would never actually let anything scary happen to you. I would protect you from it. And she says that she would too, which is very sweet. I like when we get to see them. They're such real siblings that they fight. They purposely try to scare each other, but then at the end of the day are like, no, like, I've got your back. Wonderful. Wonderful. No notes as far as that goes. But then they hear a scary laugh, and they don't know where it's coming from. And the reveal is Grandma has the walkie-talkies, and baby Kate is who's laughing into it. Lovely ending. I think my favorite costume was Baby Kate and Grandma. I love this Big Bad Wolf and Little Red Riding Hood. Wonderful. Honorable mention to Arthur's dad being a sandwich. All around, I think it's fine. You know, with children's horror, it's never actually going to be scary. It's more about vibes than anything else. LaDonna sure had a major role for being somebody I've never heard of before. You'd kind of think that DW would have those bald twins over. And we saw them in the intro, but we don't see him again past that. In the intro, they did sign language because they were mimes for Halloween, which is very fun. If you made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to do my little PSA wrap up now. So I watched Arthur and the Haunted Treehouse, Arthur and the Haunted Treehouse on YouTube So you could totally watch it on here if you want. But it was created by PBS, and PBS has been defunded by our government, and it is so vital to our communities and to education that we have free public information, whether it's educational media like Sesame Street, Arthur, or it's the news or documentaries. We are all better when we are all better. And PBS was one of those programs that was really trying to reach people where they are. So if you donate as little as $5 a month, you have access to their streaming service. Maybe I'll make a video about something that I've watched on there. They have a lot of great stuff on there. It's documentaries, there's Antique Roadshow, there's interviews about people. I don't know if you knew this, but Downton Abbey was actually a PBS program, and there's other similar scripted content like that too. So, there's probably something for you on PBS. And if you canceled your Disney Plus account because you value your free speech, maybe put some of the money you used to give to Disney towards PBS. Even if you never watch the program, just donating monthly is helping support public information in our country. So, if you do end up donating, I would like to hear that. It's very easy. Just Google like PBS station near me and it'll pull you right to it. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you next week. Bye.